Welcome to Virtual Assistants, the Agency Growth Machine podcast. Take your digital marketing agency to the next level as we share secrets, strategies, and client success stories. Step back from the day-to-day of your agency and activate massive growth using virtual assistants. And now your host, Azar Siddiqui.
All right. Another episode of our amazing podcast. And my amazing guest today is Andrew J. Cass, and a lifelong sales professional. I'm going to count the things that Andrew's done. I may not be able to do justice to Andrew over here, but best-selling author of Sales Velocity. It's an Amazon bestseller. He's built up multiple seven-figure businesses, and he's currently the co-founder of PipelinePro, which is a CRM system for small businesses, which is, I know we have a ton of clients who are using PipelinePro, and it's an amazing tool for small businesses. And besides all of these things, Andrew's also played an instrumental part in the start of and launch of RepStack as well. You know, we consulted with Andrew on streamlining our services, and he's been a friend and a mentor throughout our journey. And I want to give you a very, very warm welcome, Andrew. Thanks for coming on to our show today.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Andrew. And I think I gave you a brief on how we're going to do this, but where I want to start out is, you're a lifelong sales professional. I know of so many different businesses who are using your sales philosophies and your sales structures inside their agencies, and they're crushing it on the sales side. But before we get there, I want to kind of find out how did you get started early on, maybe from college or university? Were you always the entrepreneur type, or how did these businesses came about? How did you get into the sales field? Maybe walk us through some of that in a little bit, please.
Yeah, happy to. It actually did start in college, and I was a lifelong athlete, played football in college at a university in New York called Hofstra University. And when I got injured in my senior year, as I was about to go into my final season, I was like, I actually have to start getting serious about life and business and jobs and careers at this point. Like, you sort of get in that bubble of sports in college and you think you're never going to leave it. So I had to get serious. I was studying business management. I got my degree, and just took an interest in sales. I don't really know why or how, but I took an interest in, hey, I was a decent communicator, and I knew sales, you could make good money. So I applied for outside sales jobs on Long Island when I was graduating from college. This is 1995, by the way. So this is Azar. This is pre-internet. This is like the cassette tape era, right? Applied for a job, got a job, company car, the big ass cell phones in the car. They give you the calling card. It was like a really nice stacked package for a young 21-year-old coming out of college to have an outside sales role. Territory was Long Island. It was an electronic hardware company, and that was how I first cut my teeth in sales. Was I had a sales job at 21 years old, right out of college. Nice salary, company car, phone card, the whole 9 yards, client base already in place. And they hired me to be like the PR sales guy on Long Island. And I did that for a couple of years. And then right from there, I started taking an interest in investment banking and brokerage business and financial planning, and became a stockbroker in New York, and then got into investment banking. And that was like about a 10 to 12 year run for me. And let me tell you, that's where you really, really learn sales. You condense the learning of sales when you get into a brokerage environment, because it's all telephone, and it's hundreds and hundreds of dials a day early on to get to decision makers, to get to business owners who you want to, sell stock or create portfolios for. So that's really where the big time sales training came, which was in that 10-year window when I was living in New York, working in the investment banking business. So that's the way back story. I don't know if you want me to keep going or where you want to go from there. But that's the origination story, I guess you could call it.
That's amazing. And, I recently learned that sales from Brad Lee on one of his podcasts, that sales is the highest paying career out of all the careers. And it's great that, you had the intuition to pick that particular career for yourself, because I had to kind of forcefully teach myself because my personality is different and, I'm not very outgoing, but I had to go into sales because I knew I wanted to run a business, and I had to go take a job at Best Buy and put 7 years in there to learn the nitty gritty of sales and how to talk and communicate to people properly. So, because if my life depended on it, I couldn't close a deal. But that sales experience was instrumental for me. So it was great that like you were a natural communicator. You went into something that was coming natural to you, and then in New York, working at stock brokerages. That's like, on the Hollywood movies and things like that. We all see that. So
obviously it's a little sensationalized when you see the big screen, but there's elements of that, right? When you look at some of those crazy movies like The Wolf of Wall Street and what was the one that Ben Affleck did? Boiler Room. That was a real. So there were like pockets of that fraud that went on in those movies. I was fortunately, I came into the business, thank God, after that. But there was a little period of time, by the way, in the Long Island region, in the Manhattan region, probably early 90s, late 80s. This is like the Jordan Belfort days. Ben Affleck portrayed that in that movie. There were those little small, what they called chop shop penny stock firms that did exist, and that I know a lot of people that went to jail for being a part of it. I thankfully was in college then, and I came into that business after, but we all knew the stories. Like we all heard the stories, and we all knew of people that got in trouble for getting into the kind of the stock manipulation business. So there are those roots that you see on the movies, which is I guess funny to look back at.
And with Andrew's personality, I'm sure it's coming across really well right now. Andrew's an amazing coach and a mentor and a public speaker. So all of these things, I think, help you out. And I'm sure these things, having this sales experience now, you spent 10, 12 years of your life selling. So walk me through what happened and how you started out with your first few businesses, and what got you into launching a business for yourself.
Yeah. So at one point, I got burnt out with the investment banking, mortgage banking, brokerage business in New York. I got burnt out with the whole New York scene at this point, right? So at this time, I sort of flip what I want to do. I don't know what age I am at this point, but let's call it early 30s, right? And I'm like, the internet's starting to take shape now, right? So now you have an internet. You used to get those CDs in the mail. As our whole, I know how old you are, so I won't ask, right? But you remember the AOL email accounts that like changed the world? Do. Like email started coming onto the scene, and now there's like an internet. And I was just coming out of the brokerage business as all these .com tech companies were coming up. We made a lot of money as brokers and investment bankers when the NASDAQ really became the NASDAQ and all these tech stocks became these tech stocks, and, Microsoft took off and Apple took off, and then you had the big names, the .com, then you had the .coms burst. But all that was the shaping of the internet. And at that point in time, as I was getting burnt out in the business, I was starting to take an interest in the internet. And I realized that, wow, the internet gives you freedom, flexibility to create a business, create a brand, create a product for yourself, and be able to sell it worldwide. This was like a novel concept at this point. This is like now 2004, 2005-ish. Yeah. And I'm now out of that business, and I'm now figuring out, how can I make the internet work? What is internet marketing about? How can you market online? There's no Google, there's no Facebook, there's no YouTube, there's no social media. There's one search engine. It's Yahoo. It's Overture. You may have heard of it. And that's it. So what I did was I immersed myself in a 12-week coaching program with a company called the Internet Marketing Center, which was the #1 training platform at the time for people who wanted to learn how to utilize the internet for business. It was at the time, a $12,000 12-week training. This is 30 years ago, 20 years ago or so. So pretty expensive training at the time, but it gave me literally in 12 weeks, everything from creating a product to doing research, to creating a niche, to selling online, creating shopping carts, running ads, copywriting, websites, landing pages, sales funnels. Like I was doing all this before there was even an internet. I'm doing all this before Google's even a search engine, before Facebook's even an idea. So I'm cutting my teeth here. I built a product in the health and wellness space. We sold it online. And I was at that point really hooked on selling from the internet, AKA internet marketing, creating brands and products online. So got into that game early, made really good money online, partnered with different companies in that space over the course of about 10 years. was a top producer in a financial education based company for 7 or 8 years. It was all online and event driven. So we would use the internet to then get people to events, and we would put on these big wealth conferences around the world. I was a top producer there. And then from there, I started segueing into, okay, consulting, running my own business, started a couple companies, over the years, wrote a book, Sales Velocity, you mentioned, became a bestseller in 2017. So went from internet marketing and selling online to then consulting how to sell online to then linking up with companies where I would drive sales and built the internet marketing systems for those companies. And then in the last 5 to 10 years, I've really just been all about having my own companies and had my own speaking business here in Florida for probably 9 years, sold that recently. You mentioned PipelinePro in the beginning. This is our software sales and marketing CRM that's been around for almost 2.5, 3 years now, relatively new. Had a mobile marketing company before that. So selling sort of gets you down the entrepreneurial path because it's a very flexible lifestyle. So when you're in the sales, you're sort of like an entrepreneur within a business. And that's what I always liked about selling early on. And that, I think, kept my eyes on entrepreneurship and business ownership throughout the whole time.
Wow, man, that's some journey. We're going to have
journey.
It's
about a 30-year journey if I do the math at this point, right? If I go back to that first job out of college, that was 1995. Where are we now? 2022 at the time of this recording. Do the math there. That's 4 years,
Incredible.
whatever.
Very, very impressive. And, one of the value bombs that I got from this conversation, Andrew, is that a lot of us, and including myself, a lot of us are, we're reluctant in spending money on coaches or classes and things like that. And again, you had that intuition of investing early on, learning, and just rocking and rolling right after that. And I waited way too long to invest in a coaching service, invest in your sales services. And I wish that I had done this 10 years ago, and my journey would have been skyrocketing a lot sooner. So so that's a great value, that investing in the right people who've been there, done that. It just shortens the hell out of a learning curve that you're going to have to. Otherwise, you're going to get bumped down, you're going to get knocked down, trial and error. That's not the way to go. Like, if you can put aside money for university, you can, I'm sure, invest some money in something that you really want to build in terms of a business. And I highly recommend going to a coach like Andrew, or inside digital marketing agencies. There's amazing people like Josh Nelson and so many other people who are doing great things. It just shortens the growth of your company. And that's a great tip that we just learned from Andrew. So
listen, coaching and consulting and training programs that you just mentioned, you're essentially buying speed. You're buying someone else's experience and you're condensing time. A lot of people don't equate it that way. They just think about, I just need to learn. No, you need to buy time. You need to buy speed, right? You can have it take a year on your own, or you can have it maybe take 4 months because you bought speed. You bought someone else's experience. You leveraged somebody else's mistakes, right? You mentioned Josh, friend of mine, client of mine. Josh was a client of mine almost 10 years ago. Josh, I helped Josh and his former partner, create 7-figure agency, which I know you're a part of, right? And he gets it, right? So the people that are successful in life and in business, they get that you invest in consultants who've come before you because you want to condense the time it takes you to get to where you want to go.
Yeah. And you've been there and done that. You have this 30-year journey.
27. I just did the math a second ago while we were talking. 27.
27-year, almost 3 decades of experience in sales and building out businesses. And when you come to a guy like Andrew or Josh, what you get is, you obviously get access to these people as coach and mentors, but you also get blueprints on how to, just take those things that these guys have done and implement it inside your agencies and companies, and just buy time and buy speed, like Andrew said. So an amazing insight there, Andrew. So my next question for you, just before we move into the meat and potato of our podcast, is PipelinePro. What got you the idea of? I know several of our clients are using PipelinePro right now, and they're having amazing success. It's a client relationship management software on the sales side, which is obviously your specialty. So what looks like a guy like you would do naturally, but did you have this idea? How did this come about, and what happened when you launched this?
Yeah. So over the last 10 years, naturally, to run a successful business or work with clients successfully, you're going to need to have the right tech in place, AKA CRMs, funnel builders. I've used ClickFunnels over the years, Infusionsoft, HubSpot, Entreport, Salesforce, all the big names that are out there. And you can't really drive or scale a business without the right piece of what I call nucleus or infrastructure tech in place, right? So as we were using all these platforms for clients and for businesses over the years, we realized that there was always something missing. There was always something that was off. We always had to bring in an outside piece of tech. And then to scale, cost became astronomical when lists got bigger, when team members got larger, when you needed to add on different communication tools. It just became like we were always patching things together. So when we came across the technology that drives PipelinePro, we said, this is the answer to what I call kryptonite, meaning business owners always get stuck with tech. They get bogged down. They have 4, 5, 6 different things going on, and they have a hard time making them all work and communicate together. So we created an all-in-one platform that brings in the funnel and website builder, brings in the calendar booking system, brings in the sales tracking, adds the email, text, voice broadcast, outbound phone calling, all in one place, which makes you extremely efficient because it's all in one place. So all in one ecosystem. So we've solved that problem of too much tech, too much kryptonite, too much getting stuck and slowing down. And then because it's all in one place, economically, we've been able to drive the cost down by about a quarter of what it would cost to have all those other systems doing what we do in one with one subscription in one platform. So this was an answer to what we were looking for personally. And when we realized how well it worked for us, we used the platform for a full year before we even marketed it and made it available to business owners across the world. We're now in 20 countries. We have 20,000 plus members, users in 20 different countries, huge team, huge staff. And we basically filled our need first and then said, hey, wow, what we just did would be an incredible solution for the small to medium-sized business owners, which again is an all-in-one solution, all your tech in one place, and the ability to do multimedia communication to close more deals.
Yeah, what a great idea, man. And I know it works because we're using same system and
same tech.
It's just our entire marketing is dependent on this system, and it's working like a charm right now. So, especially if you're a digital marketing agency owner, invest in a system like PipelinePro, and you cannot go, and especially the costs, man. Like you go to a system like HubSpot, these guys are like crazy costly. Like it's like,
and they're heavy tech. They're heavy tech. The biggest gripe too on top of that is they're really complicated. In most cases, you need to bring someone in from the outside just to run the tech because the tech is so heavy. We've eliminated that heavy tech element too and made it really simple, plug and play.
Great, man. And so let's get into, because what we're trying to do over here on our show, Andrew, is that, if somebody who's trying to start or is running their agency right now, we also try to give them ideas on how guys like you are running their marketing, sales, and their retention departments. So just quickly walk us through how you're pulling in clients using marketing, and then we'll move on to the sales part.
Yeah, sure. We don't really do anything too sophisticated, right? Sales funnels, we market online. We're very aggressive marketers on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We drive people to a sales page. We give them the ability to buy a scaled down, what we call lifetime license version of our software. Then they can get access to all the different product services and other things that we provide within PipelinePro. So not really a sophisticated approach. However, marketing online today is as brutal as it's ever been. Again, because of the track record that we have, my partner and I have been doing this collectively for 50 years online. Remember my backstory I gave you about being online before there really was even an online, right? So we're so far ahead when it comes to internet marketing and media buying and traffic that for us to take a software company and market it online, I don't want to arrogantly say we don't have any competition, but we have very little competition because we're able to acquire buyers and users at probably a quarter to a fifth of what normal traditional software companies do because of the experience we have, the team we have, the ability to media buy like we do, the ability to build sales funnels, the ability to, do copywriting and content. et cetera. So that's what we do. I mean, it's not a big secret. We just are very visible, very multimedia, very aggressive. We have a podcast TV show called Sales Velocity TV, which is powered by PipelinePro. So we actually have a show where we talk strategy, and then we happen to have a solution called software that can implement the strategy. So we do a lot to be visible, to be out in front, and we spend a lot of money on ads because you have to today, right? You're not going to build a business or an agency tiptoeing around and spending a little bit of money here and there. You're going to need to invest in traffic and media to get the customer acquisition level to where you want it.
Yeah, no, those are all amazing tips. And one of the things that I've noticed, and I'm not sure how much, what part this plays in your overall marketing strategy, is your vibrant Facebook community. I know you guys have like over 4,000 members now.
You mean like the actual members community of PipelinePro, the private Facebook group?
Yeah, the Facebook group. So I think it's one of your feeder groups or the Pipeline community. Yep. But I know one of your groups has over 4,000 members. You guys are actively really involved in those groups, and you guys are actually helping these people. They may or may not be your clients, but you're actively helping them out, solve problems if anybody's asking questions and things like that. So does that have an effect in overall marketing and bringing people over to the platform as well?
It doesn't for us because that group is for members only, but I understand your question is there is also a great strategy nowadays to have a public wide open Facebook groups around a concept that brings a large pool of people in that you can, build some trust and get in front of. But ours is private and closed for only users. And I know we have you guys in because we have a joint relationship, PipelinePro and RepStack. So you're in there, but just so you know, that's what we do to build community support and give our members we have 3 tech support people in there because there's questions all the time, and we want to be able to provide sort of an instantaneous social media option for people in addition to support tickets and live chat and all the different ways that we help our people. But that one is closed.
Nice, man. That's even better, man. Like I guess that would come to play when it comes down to retaining clients and making sure
retention, right?
Retention. I think that's a great play on that side. So let's walk into your sales. I know this is going to be really close to your heart. What's the process like there when it comes down to closing deals? When it comes to pipeline, are you closing all the deals, or do you have a sales team in place? You have appointment setters and things like that. What's going on there? What's the process like?
Well, there's no real big closing scenario going on. Software is available for people to buy worldwide and test and come in. And we have a really good process where we let people self-select if they want to add on services. But within PipelinePro, we have an agency, right? And I know you guys are in the agency space. So we've done things a little bit differently than most. What happens in your world, let's say, is you build an agency, you have a bunch of clients, you do fulfillment, and then you're like, hey, it would be pretty cool to add some tech. Right. Well, like maybe a CRM or a funnel builder. We did it the reverse way. We built the software platform and built the community, built a huge customer base, built users in multiple countries. Then we said, okay, now there's a need here that we see for services, done for you services. We have a huge coaching program within that's run by myself and Aaron, my partner. So within the platform, we have done for you services, done for you funnel services, done for you setup services, done for you traffic, and a coaching program. So we have a sales team. We call them advisors. There's about 4 of them or 5 of them at this time, that if any of our members want to meet with an advisor and talk about different services that we can perform for them, they will. I don't get involved in that side of the business anymore. I oversee it. I structure it. I architect it. I work closely with the sales team, but I don't make sales all that much one-on-one anymore. Although if I'm ever on a Zoom session with somebody and there's something that they want to buy, I'll certainly sell it to them. I mean, but there's no big elaborate pitch at my point anymore. It's more just me overseeing teams and processes.
Nice. So you've spent your time on the sales side, and with your consulting business and everything, that's a natural fit for you. You've implemented those things inside PipelinePro, and now you have a team in place who consult with people who want to buy, and they close deals. And what great feeling, Andrew, then as an entrepreneur, that you're going through your day and you see these sales orders pop up inside your communication platforms, and you don't have to do the sales. And I think a lot of agency owners that we work with, they're either on that path or they want to get there. So I think this insight's going to be incredible. And again, investing in a sales professional like Andrew, I know you do private consultations as well. Investing some time and some energy and money in talking to a guy like Andrew, I think it just buys speed, because you can now get these tried and tested sales methods, bring them in, customize them for your agency, and you're rocking and rolling on the sales side. So great insight, Andrew. So talk to me about retention. I know we talked about the Facebook group. You guys have close to 4,000 people there who are your clients. How does retention work? How do clients stay with you? Do you guys have like a team of people, like account managers who are responsible for taking care of clients? How's that working out?
Well, thankfully for an outfit like RepStack, we have stacked a whole bunch of good people in place that help us with that. But good question, because I like to think, and I would actually challenge anybody on this, I challenge our members quite a bit, that we've put more support and retention measures in place than just about any SaaS platform on the planet. And I would even challenge the big players on that, such as Infusionsoft and ClickFunnels. And the reason I say that is because we have 6 tiers of support and retention. And I'll give them to you. It's on our website. It isn't a real secret sauce or anything like that. There's no real big secrets out there, by the way. Everybody always asks, right? The secrets are right in front of you, right? The secret is there's no secrets, right? But here's what we do. We have a customer service team that's like frontline, email, support, ticket system, tech, anything around the clock, day and night, 6 days a week, and they're able to respond to customers within a day. That's our goal, right? That's like tier 1. Tier 2, I do 2 live trainings per week still to this day. I do 2 live trainings per week for our members on Monday and Wednesday. One is on inbound marketing, one is on outbound marketing. So you got me live for 30 to 45 minutes twice a week. We have a members area where all of those trainings are then stored and archived. So there's a lot of people watching the replays. We have a help library inside of our dashboard with over 200 tutorial videos and articles on how to use the platform. We have a live chat team, American-based technicians for 10 hours a day, every single day, at the click of a mouse inside the dashboard. So you're in PipelinePro, you're using the platform, and you're like, oh, I'm stuck on the calendar, I'm stuck on building a trigger or a piece of automation. Live chat, boom, right there, 2 clicks of the mouse, you're in live chat. We have a Facebook group, which you just mentioned. So there's that social media line of support as well. And we have, what is that? That's live chat, that's help library, that's members area, that's my trainings. I even lose count at times, right? There's help desk ticketing system. And we even have a coaching group, which is obviously a different tier of, I don't really want to call it support, it's coaching, but we do have a high level coaching group available as well, where we'll take our members through a 6-week program led by myself and my partner, Aaron, where we'll get their funnel built in PipelinePro. We'll get pipelines and campaigns and the CRM piece built, and we'll get all that in place so that they can be in a position to go get traffic from the internet, buy media. We bring in a Google team, a Facebook team, an Instagram team. So funnel, PipelinePro, traffic, we do it all in 6 weeks. We give them the formula that we've been using for about 30 years. So that's a lot of support. That's a lot of hands-on. And on top of that, every new member that comes in can schedule a complimentary 20-minute fast start session with a team of advisors to get to know them, get a walkthrough of the tech, learn about their business, make suggestions, maybe a recommendation to buy one of our master classes, maybe a recommendation to have one of our services done for them. So there's a ton of hands-on here. And the last piece is everybody gets a good old-fashioned piece of direct mail in the mail, big jumbo postcard, I have it around here somewhere, that is a welcome postcard and invites them to explore some of the services we can do for them. So nobody, to my knowledge, and I'm going to go from Salesforce to Infusion to HubSpot to Entreport, all the platforms I've used, ClickFunnels, all of it, no one's doing any of that. I shouldn't say no one's doing any of that. No one's doing all of that. Many are doing some of that, but no one's coming even close to doing all of that. So from a support and a retention standpoint, there isn't anybody doing what we do.
Yeah, man, that's an incredible list. I think
that's a mouthful, right?
You went over 6 there. But one of the things that I've noticed is your weekly coaching calls, man. I think, as a business owner, you coming on those coaching calls and answering questions of your clients. And, you guys have several thousand clients right now, and anybody can drop in on those calls and get direct access to you. That's a very different level of value that you're providing there. And
obviously users, members, right? Not open to the public naturally, but users, members of PipelinePro have access to that twice a week. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a great strategy. We've seen that at play very closely as because we work with you on a regular basis. But I think just that one piece alone is such a great value. If you're struggling, you come on that call, and I've seen those calls live quite a few times. And there hasn't been a question that Andrew hasn't been able to answer. And so sometimes there's some curveballs on those ones, right? But
Sure.
as a business owner with the experience you bring to the table, it just becomes so easy to guide them in the right direction from examples of so many different customers that you guys have already had, and move them in the right direction with the right solution. It just shortens the curve for them for that particular client. And I think retention, it plays a huge role on your retention. I'm sure just that one aspect alone, let alone the 6 other things that you mentioned just now.
Yep. Huge help.
All right, man. I think my last question, Andrew, thanks for walking through how your business is set up on the marketing, sales, and retention side. Some amazing values there for anyone who's listening. Just like the world-class customer service that you're providing, man, that's amazing. Like for agency owners who are listening, if you guys can just get close to something like that, I think your retention would be through the roof. But my last question for you, Andrew, is, you're doing these amazing things. You have this fulfilling life. I know you have an amazing family, 2 amazing kids. And what's the why behind starting out your businesses or doing what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and so passionately? What drives you every single day to do what you do right now?
Yeah, it's always a good question. It's always a question that comes up a lot. I mean, for me, I haven't had a W-2 employee position in a job for probably over 2 decades. So for me, the driver was always freedom of time. It's money. Money's always a driver to a degree. Like I've always tried to put myself in a position where I pick a business or a business model where I have no ceilings on my income. I think that's important. But the real takeaway in the why is a business that gives me the freedom to do what I want. So if I want to take a full day off, I can do it. If I want to, and I do this every Tuesday, by the way. So like I'm done every Tuesday by 1:00. And Tuesday afternoon, I pick my kids up at school. They take a kids CrossFit class every Tuesday afternoon. I'm there with them. I watch it. It's my Tuesday thing, right? And it's dead smack in the middle of the week, the whole afternoon gone. I could never do that if I had a traditional W-2 job, right? I want to work out in the morning, the afternoon, the night, I can do that. Exercise is a huge piece of my life, right? So I always wanted to be in a business or a business model that allowed me to have a life and not be working 10, 12 hours a day. When I was in the investment banking business in New York, fortunately, I was young and single at that point, but that was 5, 6 in the morning calling the UK till 9:00 at night calling Australia. Oof. So, and that's common in that business. It's also common in the legal field. I have friends and clients that are attorneys, and when they're in big cases, they're like done for 12 hours, 2-3 weeks at a time. It's almost like they age 3 years and 3 weeks when I see them. It's horrible up and down, right? Money's good, but it's like at some point their lifestyle sucks. They look like shit. They're not healthy. They're burnt. They're stressed. So I wanted to be in an environment where, yeah, of course, stress is good. And I encourage that. And you want to be in an environment where stress drives you, but you also want to be in an environment where you can pretty much make your own schedule, spend time with your family, take days off when you want to, and still make a ton of money. So if you can find that combination of time freedom and unlimited income, that's the driver for me. But the real driver is at the end of the day is my kids, right? If you have kids, anybody watching, you have children, you know that you sort of put things into a different gear when you have kids, and now you have more people that you're in your life than just yourself that you're providing for. So your why gets a little bit bigger. You get a little bit more serious. When I had my son's 11 now, when he was born, a lot of things I was doing in my life, I stopped doing, right? No more late nights, pretty much didn't drink much anymore periodically. Like you just start to really zone in more on business and future and planning, right? So the why is freedom and money, but really it's tied to family and kids also. So it's really all of that wrapped together, if you will. And that's probably the driver for many entrepreneurs, right? You get it. I mean, time freedom is a big deal. It's a huge deal to not be tied down and and so limited. And geez, God, just if you look at all the stuff going on around the world right now and some of the things that are being done to employees, forced to do things they don't want to do. I mean, I have worked my ass off to not be in a position to be forced to do a damn thing. That takes work. That takes a deliberate, thoughtful,
and then be in a position, Andrew, where I know that I think majority of your workforce, they get to work from home and they have the liberty of, being in an environment which is safe for them. And, so not only I think you're kind of, leading by example here where, you're doing these things for yourself, but I know the majority of your team, which is pretty big now, is also has same opportunities where, they're not forced to do any of these things and they're working from, majority of them are working from home and things like that. And, and you're still running this amazing business. So, kudos to you. And then, one thing that I've always been extremely impressed by is how you're staying so fit, Andrew. Does that play a part in managing your businesses? Is that a recommendation for you for all the entrepreneurs of taking care of yourself and being physically fit?
I get that question a lot. And that's probably a compliment that I do. And the answer is yes. and always, my whole life, I've always realized that if there isn't a regular workout regimen in place, it's going to spill into business at some point, right? You can only let yourself go for so long before it starts affecting your brain, number one. So from an overall mental acuity and sharpness standpoint, the unfit person who is a yo-yo with their weight and they don't really build strength and they're kind of a mess and they have all kinds of pain and they eat like shit, I don't know how anybody can think that that's not going to spill into how you perform in business at some point. You can get away with it in your 20s. You can get away with it a little bit more in your 30s, but you get into your 40s with those habits, you're dead. You're done. You're not going to go the distance. And business is all about going the distance and being as sharp as you can so that you don't have to work as long as some people to get the same result. So when you stay fit, you stay mentally sharp. And when you stay mentally sharp, you're a better performer in business. So there's a huge link. And it surprises me how delinked that often is. I mean, we're in pretty bad shape today. If you look, I always just say in North America, but mainly America. I mean, we're in an obesity crisis. We're in a diabetes crisis. We're in a food crisis. We're in a pre-existing condition. I've always said we're not in a COVID crisis. We're in a super unhealthy crisis that COVID has just exacerbated, right? I mean, it's just ravaged the obese and it's ravaged the diabetics and those that have had pre-existing conditions. And that's all a function of lifestyle, decisions, food, exercise, right? So there's the health play. There's the keeping yourself in shape so you can keep yourself in business and mental shape play. So without it, I just become less and less effective in the running of the business, in the communication, in the podcast, in the speaking. I just don't have the endurance. I don't have the legs. I don't have the energy to perform when I'm not fit. So there's a complete link. And it's amazing to me. Again, the secret is there's no secret, but the big secret is if you let yourself fall apart physically, health-wise, wellness-wise, it will spill into business. It's just a matter of time. It's not even a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. So there is a link. There's always been a link. And fortunately, I was an athlete growing up. So that lifestyle of training and training hard, not just going through the motions, has stayed with me and spilled over to every aspect of my life, even now at 48, right? Still going at it as hard as most 28-year-olds, frankly.
Yeah, man. And it's not like you don't enjoy life. Andrew and my brothers, this past August, Andrew took us out to this amazing.
Actually, you guys took me out. I picked the spot.
Well, it was you picked the spot.
Yeah.
So, and that was an amazing, and we got to break bread together and have this amazing wine. But I saw how, fit Andrew is, but also you get to enjoy life as well, man. You eat these amazing foods, and it's not like we didn't go out for nachos or anything like that. We went out for this amazing, Italian restaurant actually, and we had such a great time right by the on the Bayside in Miami, and that was such a great dinner, Andrew. We still reminisce about that, and we'll do one of those real soon. As soon as I head down to Florida.
Sounds good.
Andrew, thanks for doing this, man. I really appreciate it. I know so many agency owners listening to this are going to get so much value out of this. Pipeline Pro is open to even digital marketing. I know there's some of our clients who are digital marketing agency owners who are using Pipeline Pro. It's a really simple tool. You can sign up. It's extremely affordable. And I highly recommend that, if you're in a digital marketing agency and you're looking for a CRM system, look at Pipeline Pro. Andrew, thanks for doing this, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it. And the link is www.gopipelinepro.com. There's another Pipeline Pro software for, I think, like the real estate or appraisal industry out there that is not us. So again, it's www.gopipelinepro.com. That's going to give you a demo and an overview of the service. But I appreciate you having me on. Thanks for letting me talk a little bit about Pipeline Pro and the journey. It's always fun to reminisce. And sometimes I even learn a few new things about the stuff I went through over the years. So thanks again. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Thanks, Andrew. We'll talk soon, man.
See ya.
This has been The Virtual Assistant, the Agency Growth Machine podcast by Azar Siddiqui, co-founder at RepStack. If you like today's episode, you can find more and subscribe at repstack.co. Thank you for listening.